This is Frank, and we're now moving on to the California DMV Class C practice test. This covers the rules of the road necessary to obtain your standard driver's license, focusing on California's specific laws regarding speed, right-of-way, and safety. Let's get straight into the questions. What is the maximum speed limit on most California highways unless otherwise posted? 65 miles per hour. Be aware that the speed limit may be higher or lower depending on the specific highway or lane. Let's continue. What is the maximum speed limit in a residential or business district unless otherwise posted? 25 miles per hour. This is the base speed limit for these areas to ensure pedestrian safety. Moving on, how far ahead should you scan the road to anticipate potential hazards? 10 to 15 seconds ahead. At freeway speeds, this is about a quarter of a mile. Time for the next question. When driving in fog or heavy rain, which lights should you use? Low beam headlights. High beams reflect off the moisture and actually reduce visibility. Next up, you may legally turn right on a red light in California after coming to a full stop and checking for traffic and pedestrians unless a sign prohibits it. Always treat a red light as a stop sign before turning right. Let's continue. A solid yellow line next to a broken yellow line means passing is permitted only for the vehicles on the side of the broken line. The solid line acts as a barrier for the lane closest to it. Moving on, what is the legal blood alcohol concentration B8 limit for an adult driver 21 years or older, 0.08% or higher? It is illegal to drive with a BAC of 0.08% or higher. Time for the next question. If you are involved in a collision, you must report it to the DMV if the damage to property exceeds 1,000 or if anyone is injured or killed. This must be done within 10 days using the SR1 form. Next up, if you change your address, you must notify the DMV within 10 days. This is a mandatory legal requirement for all California drivers. Let's continue. What is the basic speed law in California? Never drive faster than is safe for current conditions. Regardless of the posted limit, the actual safe speed can be lower than the posted limit due to weather, traffic, or road conditions. Moving on. When two vehicles meet on a steep road where neither can pass, the vehicle traveling downhill must yield the right-of-way by backing up until the uphill vehicle can pass. The vehicle facing uphill has the right-of-way because backing up is more dangerous for them. Time for the next question. What does a white curb mean? Stop only long enough to pick up or drop off passengers or mail. A white curb means temporary stopping for passengers or mail. Next up, what does a green curb mean? Limited time parking. Check the sign on the curb for the specific time limits. Let's continue. When can you legally block an intersection? Never. The law requires you to enter an intersection only if you can exit it completely, known as don't block the box. Moving on. If a pedestrian is in a marked or unmarked crosswalk, what must you do? Stop and yield the right-of-way to the pedestrian. The pedestrian always has the right-of-way in a crosswalk. Time for the next question. When must a child be secured in a federally approved child passenger restraint system? Until they are 8 years old or are 4 feet 9 inches tall. Children under 8 must generally be in the back seat. Next up, what is the penalty for failure to stop at a red school bus with flashing red lights? A fine and a mandatory court appearance. You must stop in both directions unless divided by a median. Let's continue. What does a triangular red and white sign mean? Yield. The shape is unique and universally means you must give the right-of-way. Moving on. What does a 5-sided sign, like a house, mean? School zone or school crossing. This shape warns drivers that children may be present. Time for the next question. What does a yellow diamond-shaped sign generally indicate? Warning. This alerts you to potential dangers or changes in the road ahead. Next up. You must notify the police and file a report with the DMV if a collision involves any injury, death, or property damage over 1,000 dangers. Both steps are required for serious incidents. Let's continue. What is the minimum distance you must maintain when following an emergency vehicle with its lights flashing? 300 feet. This distance ensures safety for first responders working at the scene. Moving on. When parking your vehicle parallel to the curb, your wheels must be within how many inches of the curb? 18 inches. Any farther than 18 inches may result in a ticket. Time for the next question. When should you signal before changing lanes or making a turn? At least 100 feet before the turn or lane change. This gives other drivers sufficient warning of your intentions. Next up, what is the law regarding electronic devices and texting while driving for all drivers? It is illegal to use a handheld cell phone or text while driving. All drivers must use a hands-free device. Let's continue. What must you do when facing a steady yellow light? Stop if you can do so safely, otherwise proceed with caution. The yellow light is a warning that the signal is about to turn red. Moving on. What should you do if your gas pedal gets stuck while driving? Shift to neutral, apply the brakes, and steer safely off the road. Shifting to neutral cuts power to the engine, allowing you to stop safely. Time for the next question. If you are driving near a crosswalk and notice a blind pedestrian with a white cane or guide dog, you must stop completely and yield the right-of-way, Blind pedestrians always have the absolute right of way. Next up, what is the speed limit when driving within 500 to 1,000 feet of a school while children are outside? 25 miles per hour. This limit applies unless the road is posted for a lower speed. Let's continue. What is the rule for passing a cyclist on the road? Allow a minimum of 3 feet of clearance when passing. The 3 Feet for Safety Act is a mandatory law for all vehicles. Moving on. What must you do if you become aware of a vehicle attempting to pass you? Maintain your speed and lane position. Do not speed up or try to prevent the pass. Let them complete the maneuver safely. Time for the next question. What is the proper technique for making a left turn at a green light? Yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians before completing the turn. You must wait until the roadway is clear. Next up, on a 2-lane road with traffic coming from the opposite direction, passing is permitted when the center line is broken. A broken line indicates that it is legal to pass when safe. Let's continue. When parking uphill against a curb, how should you turn your wheels? Away from the curb. If your brakes fail, the car will roll back and be stopped by the curb. Moving on. What should you do if your vehicle starts to hydroplane? Ease off the accelerator, avoid braking, and steer straight ahead until you regain traction. Do not try to turn or brake, as this can cause a skid. Time for the next question. What is the penalty for driving without proof of insurance in California? Fines and possible vehicle impoundment. Proof of financial responsibility is mandatory in California. Next up, what should you do when approaching a railroad crossing with flashing red signals? Stop at least 15 feet, but no more than 50 feet from the nearest track. Never attempt to cross until the signals stop flashing. Let's continue. When is it legal to use the carpool HOV lane? When the vehicle carries the minimum number of people posted on the signs. The sign specifies the minimum number, usually 2 or 3. Moving on. What does a flashing red traffic light mean? Stop. Then proceed when safe. Like a stop sign, treat it exactly as you would a 4-way stop. Time for the next question. What does a flashing yellow traffic light mean? Slow down and proceed with caution. It warns of a potential hazard or intersection ahead. Next up. What is the appropriate response to a flashing red light on a school bus you are approaching from the front? Stop and wait until the lights are off and the stop sign is retracted. You must stop unless there is a physical median dividing the roadway. Let's continue. What is the most common time of day for collisions involving distracted drivers? Daytime distracted driving is a year-round daytime problem. Moving on. What does a broken white line on the roadway mean? Traffic is moving in the same direction, and you may change lanes. White lines separate lanes of traffic traveling in the same direction. Time for the next question. What does a sign with a picture of a truck going downhill mean? Steep hill ahead. This warns the driver to slow down and use a lower gear. Next up. What should you do when you see the headlights of an oncoming vehicle at night? Look to the right edge of the road to avoid the glare. This allows you to maintain awareness of your lane while protecting your night vision. Let's continue. What is the maximum speed limit when towing a vehicle or trailer on a highway? 55 miles per hour. Towing requires a reduced maximum speed limit on all California highways. Moving on. What does a red arrow showing at a traffic light mean? Stop and wait. You may not proceed in the direction of the arrow. A red arrow is an absolute stop for that direction of travel. Time for the next question. In California, your headlights must be turned on during the day if visibility is less than 1,000 feet or when operating windshield wipers due to rain or snow. The wiper rule requires headlights whenever wipers are in continuous use. Next up. When parking downhill against a curb, how should you turn your wheels? Toward the curb. If your brakes fail, the vehicle will roll into the curb and stop. Let's continue. What is the best method to check your blind spots? Turn your head and check quickly over your shoulder check. Mirrors alone cannot eliminate blind spots. That wraps up the practice session for the California DMV Class C practice test. Remember to study both the questions and the underlying rules to ensure you pass your written exam.